Hello, everyone, and welcome back to On the News podcast, the best podcast on campus. I'm your host, Caleb. In our last episode, conducted by my friend Sarah, we covered Skinner's theory of behaviorism. So if you missed it, you can go and check it out. But in order to continue this series where we have been exploring important topics in language, education, and communication, today's episode will be special because we're going to be discussing one of the most influential theories in second language acquisition, which is Stephen Krashen's input hypothesis. So now, of course, as we always do on this channel, joining me today are two specialists in linguistics and language teaching. If you recognize them, it's because they have been on this channel several times already. So welcome again, Professor Dana Peñalba and Professor Alexander Drinkwater. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to follow this fascinating theory.
Yeah, it's great to be here because today we are going to talk about the input hypothesis. And let me tell you, I love that topic.
Yeah, so let's start with the basics, shall we? Could you tell us what exactly is the input hypothesis?
Sure, so the input hypothesis is a theory developed by my friend, the American linguist Stephen Krashen, during the late 1970s and the 80s. And this theory explains how people acquire second language. According to Krashen, language acquisition occurs when learners are exposed to a language that they can understand and that is slightly above their current level.
Okay, so are you trying to tell us or explaining that in this theory, the main concern is that learning a new language is not just memorizing grammar rules? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, exactly, because Krashen here makes an important distinction between what is learning and what is acquisition. While learning refers to consciously studying grammar rules and vocabulary, acquisition, on the other hand, is a natural and subconscious process similar to how children acquire their first language.
Yeah, and this is really the central idea of the theory. Freshen believed that acquisition is what a truly developed language ability, while the grammar study plays a more limited role.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. And Professor Dana, when I was reviewing this topic, the term comprehensible input appeared constantly all around this theory. So could you please explain to the audience what does comprehensible input means?
Yeah, of course. Okay, comprehensible input refers to the language that learners can most understand, even if some words of the structure are new. So the learning doesn't need to understand every single word. What is important to understand the overall message.
Okay, so could you maybe give us an example of this?
Yeah, of course. Imagine a teacher points a picture of a rock dog running and says, "The dog is running." And let's to pretend that students may not know the word what is running, but because of the picture, they can understand the meaning. So that imagine helps make the language more comprehensible.
Okay, so language learning is not just about words, it is also about understanding meaning through context.
Yeah, exactly that.
All right, so following up, one of the most famous concepts, if we can say, in Krashen's theory is the I plus one. Could you please explain to us what does that mean? What is it? Is it a number? Is it a formula? What is it?
Sure, so the letter I represents the learner's current level of language. For example, you could have a basic, intermediate, or advanced level of English. But on the other hand, the plus one represents the next stage of development. So I plus one means language that is just slightly above what the learners are already know.
Could you please give us an example so we can understand better?
Sure, an example. If a student understands the sentence I eat apples, the next step might be I am eating apples. since the new structure is slightly more advanced but is still understandable.
Yeah, Krashen also argued that if the input is too easy, what he called A plus zero, the learning doesn't progress. But is too difficult, the perhaps is A plus two or A plus three, that the learning maybe become confusing or frustrated. So the ideal level is one that is a challenge, but is understandable also.
Oh, okay. So I have a question for you both.
Yeah.
From your point of view, why is comprehensible input considered so important for language acquisition?
Well, because it provides information learnings that need to boil the language system. When students repeatedly or read a language that can understand, they gradually acquire new vocabulary, new grammar, new expressions.
And also think how children learn their first language. Nobody sits them down and teaches complicated grammar rules. Instead, what scholars do is they listen to meaningful language every day and they slowly acquire it.
Okay, so you're talking about meaningful language. So maybe I should ask where, right? Where can learners find this type of
Yeah.
input?
Okay, there are many sources. Teachers are often main sources is inside the classroom. But when it's outside the classroom, learners can receive input from books, newspaper, conversation, podcasts, songs, movies, television programs, social media, and even video games.
The important thing is that language is meaningful and understandable. For example, someone that is learning English could watch a movie with subtitles, could listen to podcasts, could read short stories, or even interact with native speakers.
Okay, so it means that language learning can happen almost anywhere, right? But for
Yeah.
me, it was very interesting that you mentioned teachers as a source to provide input, right? So, how exactly can a teacher provide effective input to their students?
Okay, first, the teacher should make the language more understandable but interesting. They can speak clearly, use visual aids, demonstrate concept, repeat it more the key vocabulary, and connect lesson to real situations, which help their students tremendously.
To add something, we have activities such as storytelling, role playing, discussion, maybe reading exercises, and even listening activities. And these are particularly effective as well.
Yeah, and what about the classroom environment? Is that important or not? What does Krashen said about this?
Well, I think that is very important too. And what Krashen proposed is also the affective filter hypothesis that is very um, related to the state of anxiety, low confidence, or maybe lack of motivation. These can block the language acquisition. So it means that students learn better when they feel relaxed and supported.
Um, Professor Dana, what could you say, right, are one of the, well, not one, but some of the main benefits of this theory?
Okay, one major benefit is that it promotes natural language acquisition. Instead of focusing only in grammar exercise, learning develop language through the communication using slang and very natural and relaxing tones.
All right. So I have a doubt. If it is called a theory, I guess no theory is really perfect at the end, right? So what criticisms have researchers raised about the input hypothesis? Could you please explain one or the main ones?
Yeah, of course. One criticism is that Prussia never clearly define how teacher can accurately measure A plus one. And what is it that easy for one learner, maybe it's difficult for another.
Yeah, and also some scholars also argue that language acquisition involves more than just receiving input. Things like interactions, practice, and speaking opportunities are also important. Let me give you an example. And my friend Michael Swain proposed the output hypothesis, which is basically the opposite. It suggests that learners improve not only by listening and reading, but also by producing language through speaking and writing.
Right, so while the input hypothesis remains highly influential, we could say that many researchers believe it is only one little piece of the language learning puzzle.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, Caleb.
Very good then. So today we have explored Stephen's Krashen's input hypothesis, the concept of comprehensible input, the famous I plus one formula, common sources of language input, also teaching strategies, benefits, and even some of the major criticisms of this theory. And although researchers continue to debate certain aspects of Krashen's work, what is undeniable is that his ideas have had a lasting influence on language education, and also they have changed how many teachers approach language. So I would like to thank our experts for sharing this insight today.
Thank you for inviting us.
It was a pleasure to be here.
Sure. And also thank you to everyone listening to On the News podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion and learned something new about language acquisition. As a reminder, if you missed any of our previous episodes, you can always check and stay updated. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning. So, see you next time.